Good morning, comic fans. Welcome back to Comics in 5 Minutes. I'm Rather No Shorty. Take a look at the author Immortal today, and it's one that kind of highlighted the fact that I can get mixed up and confused because when I was reading and then doing the review for The Twilight Zone, I made a comment that like, this artist is amazing. I don't recall seeing anything done before, but I'm totally going to go and check it out. Turns out, like a few days before that, I'd read a little sample of the author Immortal in the back of a different image book, and yes, the same artist. Yeah, it's been same guy. Should have figured that out. Should have been a little bit more on the ball there. It turns out one of the reasons why I was looking forward to the author Immortal was having read that little tease. Genuinely love the artwork. It is beautiful. It kind of stands with everything I said before about how much I loved the simplicity of how it works in black and white. There's something just absolutely immaculate about the line. Everything feels organic. There's enough detail where it's needed, but it never feels too busy. And every single choice that they make feels like it's done on purpose with intent. And this comes across in so many ways. Like early on, we get this sense of creeping dread and horror, and then when we do actually see it appear in the world, being dragged from wherever it exists when it's not being used to harass and terrorize and eat people, when it turns up, it is amazing. It is also beautiful but terrifying. It feels alien and otherworldly, but also like it's made up of the kind of things we should be scared of without necessarily having to spell that out. But it's not just that. There's also the level of detail, which never feels too busy, in stuff like bookcases and backdrops, internal shots, and every single character is beautifully, wonderfully realised. Even people who are only on for like a handful of panels still feel like they are a fully excellent part of the world and exist within it within the same kind of rules. We do get like some slight, I don't want to say caricature or cartoony, but like some over-exaggerated features in some of these characters. But it does feel good. Like it's all part of the same look. They all exist in the same world, and they all have that same kind of vibe going for them. There's a little bit of action in terms of the terrifying monster from the Netherrealm setting up, and also just a little fight scene, and all of it, every last bit of it, is absolutely beautiful. But that's not the only reason I'm loving this one, because I am absolutely a huge fan of this one. The artwork was what grabbed me in, but it was reading the story, and it made me kind of just chuckle along to myself in terms of being a fan of certain writers, some more than others, and seeing how time has done nothing to improve them and has in fact shed light on the darkness within. And I will say, for the record, that at no point am I saying that one of the characters in this book is J.K. Rowling. That is not the case. And there's another character in this book which is absolutely not Neil Gaiman. I want to make sure that I'm 100% covering myself for this one. This is not the case. However, we do have people who you may recognise as author inserts from the real world, but there is also a genuine person, or a historical person who's in this. And the author of it, Barbier, I apologize if I mispronounced that name, clearly loves this person. You read the back matter, and they speak at length about how much this writer moved them. And as well as having some fantastically good little beats within this in terms of who these characters are and what they do, some rather wonderful little representation in terms of a trans non-binary character, it does feel like an awful lot is going towards a genuine mixture of both love and hatred. Love for what he admires in his writers and how they move him, and they can create fictional worlds that you get lost in, and the urge to go back and revisit them is all encompassing. And I get that, because when I was a kid, I was reading Douglas Adams and Tolkien and Stephen King, and even as a very maybe not even teenager, stuff like Terry Pratchett and Robert Rankin, stuff that I keep going back to and rereading over and over again. I do absolutely get that. And I'm not saying the hatred is a bad thing. There is hatred where it is vague and nebulous, this idea that whoever you are is a victim because of these things that you hate. No, this is a very specific level of hatred towards some very obvious individuals and the way that they comport themselves in the world, the things they say they do, and the effects they have on other people. And I do feel that that is a righteous kind of hatred. This is not hating them just because, it's hating them because of what they do. They are reaping the rewards of their actions, and unfortunately that means people are going to hate you if you do terrible, terrible things. And seeing this mixture of how much you can love the creative process and the people who do it, the hatred not only comes from what they've done, but how they affect that process as well. and how people who fell in love with their writing, who fell in love with their fantasy worlds, who would want to keep going back and revisiting, have been absolutely abandoned and left by the wayside. And it's also just a really good story with giant scary monsters, and I really can't wait to read more of it. That's it for me for now, though. Until I see you all again, look after yourself, everyone. Stay safe. Bye!